I asked you if for the small shipyard grant program, if the budget number would be higher than 0. And you emphasized that you had strong support for the program. I'm not suggesting that you said yes or no, but you did say you had strong support for the program. As it turns out, the budget proposal number is not higher than 0. It's 0. It's a $20 million cut from the enacted 2019, which I think Congress had to put in because the administration proposed eliminating it last year. I assume we will fix your problem for you again. And as well, the Senate committee passed a reauthorization of MERAD programs, including a $35 million authorization for small shipyards. So we're going one way and the administration's going the other way on small shipyards. Can you let me know what changed between the March 6th hearing and the release of the budget?
Congressman, what I can tell you that has not changed is the importance that we believe that program brings to the maritime industry. Again, this comes down to the realities of the budget that we are given to work within to prioritize the absolute things that absolutely had to be budgeted for, and very regrettably that was one that didn't make the cut. Does not by any way diminish how important we think it is and how much good it does to the industry.
Well, I anticipate that we will fix your problem. Admiral, at the March 6th subcommittee hearing, I requested details on Coast Guard's plans regarding oil spill prevention and response in the Pacific Northwest related to the Trans Mountain Pipeline Extension Project and have yet to receive specific information. Can you all get that to me for the record?
Absolutely, Congressman.
Thank you. We'll do a follow-up with you on that. Would you comment, though, on the flat funding for the Maritime Oil Spill Prevention Program for the 2020 budget and whether or not those resources are adequate and if that funding considers the approval of the Trans Mountain Pipeline Extension Project?
Well, sir, regarding the Trans Mountain Pipeline, you know, we have a terrific relationship with the Canadians, Canadian Coast Guard, Transport Canada. We have a joint VTS up there where we track the traffic. I mean, currently we're looking at, potentially one of those transits a week under the current pace. This could go to one a day, as you know. Marine environmental response is a top priority for me. We work in a joint contingency model with the Canadians for oil spill response. I think at the end of the day, sir, with this bitumen, with the heavy crude, I think this is something the response operations that work there on the international seam are quite capable. So I think this is obviously we have to see where Canadian Coast Guard and the First Nations go with their deliberations, their decision making. But we are postured to be responsive. I think the risk is manageable, and it is obviously high on my list of priorities to make sure that pristine region of the nation is not subject to some type of spill. It has my attention, sir.
Good, and certainly we can't control the Canadian government decision and how it plays out, but in the eventuality it does play out, we need to plan. So I hope we'll follow up with more detail with you. With regards to the backlog on shoreside infrastructure, we got the GAO study that shows about 45% of the Coast Guard shore infrastructure is beyond its service life. So we're working with you all, having discussions with you all about OPC, home porting in the Northwest as a possibility. If that were to occur, how does new shoreside infrastructure fit into the backlog that you have? How do you end up budgeting for new infrastructure versus what you have to fund now?
Congressman, I appreciate the question. What we do is we do, as you say, we have a high backlog. We have $1.7 billion of shore infrastructure that we're dragging along. We're not recapitalizing at a healthy pace on that like an organization do. You normally tackle 2.5% of that on an annual basis. We're in tens of percentages. That said, we're making a small dent in that. We've got some money through supplementals and hurricanes. To your question about new assets, we use what we call major acquisition shore infrastructure, MASI account. We anticipate those needs. Ideally, we ask for funds for that about 3 years ahead of the actual arrival of the new asset. So when the asset shows up, the pier, the shore ties, the infrastructure, landside buildings to support and enable the operations are all in place. Regarding OPCs, the 5th and 6th OPC are programmed to go to the Pacific Northwest. We've been looking at, a range of options: Everett, Astoria, Seattle. We had our folks up in Everett here recently that are on our Cutter Home Porting Working Group. The mayor of Everett was in here in April talking to Coast Guard folks. So I think in this calendar year, we will probably roll out a decision on where home porting will occur in the Pacific Northwest. It's a lot of factors: proximity to the area, the ability to support our people, existing infrastructure where we don't have to expend tax dollars. What are the upgrades to have sufficient infrastructure? But MASI, sir, is that major acquisition shore infrastructure. That's the approach we take about three plus years ahead of the actual arrival of the cutter to make sure when the ship arrives, it's able to do the mission and we can support our men and women that are assigned to that unit.
All right, thank you. I'm not going to ask a question, but I will follow up with you all about pilots and pilot shortages and how that all impacts you as well, because we're trying to coordinate with on the private sector side, making sure they're not poaching too much on the public sector side.
It's
Thanks.
just, so there's
Thank
a
you, gentlemen.
budget,
Thank you.
but we'll get
Thanks.
back
We'll
to you.
follow up. Thanks.
Thank the gentleman.